Hi, I'm Jeff Ludy, and this channel is dedicated to entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur, and I want to see if I can help you grow and succeed in your business. So I started as an entrepreneur. My first business, I was the age of 6. I had a worm stand. All the neighbor kids had lemonade stands, and I realized we were about a mile from a lake, and I found worms in the ground when I was playing back there. So I decided, why not have a worm stand instead of a lemonade stand? I've always been an entrepreneur. I've owned a restaurant, I've owned a home improvement company, a carpet cleaning company. Oh, by the way, I even owned a VCR repair company. VCR repair company. Obviously, that was not a good decision on my part. And I've succeeded at a lot of businesses, and I've failed at a lot of businesses, right? I mean, no matter what you do, you can't always get it right. So I want to show you some tips and talk to you a little bit about what I've done to be successful. And maybe this will translate to you. So today, I want to talk about this system that I call G.R.O.W. And I'll explain a little bit more about this, but this is something you can use for just about anything in your business and actually even in your personal life. So let's talk about what G.R.O.W. means. G stands for goal. So let me give you an example. Today I had a guy. He's one of our installers here at Houston Window Experts, and we do our own installations. We have our own crews. We don't use subcontractors. And we had to have a nice hard talk because he's to the point where he's probably going to get unemployed, even though he's a great installer, because he has a hard time coming to work every day. And he's been missing work. He's been coming in late to work. He's always been great about apologizing, but he keeps doing the same thing over and over and over. So this is a formula I can use when I have an employee that I need to work with, and let me show you how it works. So goal. So what's the goal? Well, in this case, the goal is to come to work on time, right? So if I want somebody to come to work on time, that's a reasonable goal to set. I'm not asking him to do something he can't do. This is something that an employee can do, is come to work on time. So if we all establish the goal is to come to work on time, and we all agree that that's important, we all agree that that's part of doing your job, then the next thing we talk about is reality. So if the goal is to come to work on time, what's the reality? Well, the reality is you've been late 3 times in the last month. And when you're late, then that means that I've got 5 other crew members waiting on you to get here because you're the crew leader. You're the one who backs up the trailer, you're the one who drives the truck, you're the one who leads the crew. And the reality is you haven't been coming to work on time, and that's what's happening. Now here's the thing. When you start talking to somebody about this acronym we're talking about here, G.R.O.W., you've got to, before you can go on to the next one, you've got to get together with them and everybody has to agree on what the reality is. If you don't agree on what the reality is, you can't go to the next step. So let's say, for example, if I said to this employee, you know, you've been late, and they're like, oh, yeah, but it's only 5 minutes late. Okay, then we need to revise our goal, because we said we wanted you to be to work on time, and you're telling me, oh, well, no, I'm only 5 minutes late. Or, well, I haven't been late now except for that one time and that one time and that white time. Well, we've got to have the same reality. The reality is, and the reality is reality, right? The reality is that you have been late to work this time, this time, this time, and this time. Now, here's the way I look at it. Let's say that somebody's late to work 1 time. Okay, that happens, right? I've been late to things before. The second time they're late to work, that's a coincidence. It's a coincidence that you were late to work twice this week. But the 3rd time you're late, it's no longer a coincidence. Now it's a pattern. And so a pattern of being late is something that is the reality. The reality is you've done this as a pattern now. So that's reality. So everybody has to be on the same page for reality. Then the next thing is options. So if our goal is for you to be on time, and the reality is you're not, and not, and not, and not, and not, what are our options? What are options? So let me tell you a quick story. My dad is a missionary. Not Baptist, but kind of like a Baptist missionary, right? And so when I grew up, we used to get swats. Anybody ever get swats or you get spankings from your dad? Okay, I used to get spankings from my dad. If I had a page of homework I didn't do, that was 1 swat per page. So I tried to keep it to 4 or 5 pages. I never was very good in school. But my dad kept having these same issues with me, and he'd have to keep giving me the same discipline over and over. And I remember one time, I think I'd snuck out of the house to go with a friend to the mall or something like late at night. And I got busted for it. And so my dad wanted to talk to me. And I thought, oh gosh, here we go again. And so my dad said, Jeff, listen, I've tried everything with you. You know, I've tried this and I've tried that and I've tried the other. What would you do if you were me? What would you do? Basically, he was bringing the reality up, right? The goal was not to lie to my dad or not to sneak out of the house. The reality was it's been happening, and the options, he'd already exhausted them. He's like, Jeff, I've told you couldn't go to your friend's house. I've punished you by spanking you. I've punished you by making you do chores around the house. I'm out of options. Jeff, what would you do? Well, guess what I said? I was like 12 or 13 years old. I said, you know what, Dad? I think I'd give me one more break. And of course I knew he was going to say no to that. But guess what he said? He said, all right, we'll do that, Jeff. We'll give you a break. So I'm like, well, thanks, Dad. Well, guess what happened next time I got in trouble? We had the same conversation about the reality and the options. And my dad said, Jeff, what would you do if you were me? And I said, Dad, I think I'd give me a break. And he said, no, we did that last time, remember? That didn't work. So that's what happens here. If, for example, this person that I was having trouble with coming to work on time, you know what he said? I'm not going to let it happen again. I'm like, yeah, but you said that last time. Well, no, but I mean, I'm not going to let, this would be it, sir. This would be the last time this would happen. I'm like, come on, you've said that before. Give me a new option. Tell me you're buying an alarm clock. Tell me you're getting a second alarm clock. Get one of those old wind-up alarm clocks that sits on the other side of the room so you have to get up and walk all the way across the room. Maybe that'll help you wake up in the mornings. But give me another option. Don't just give me the same options over and over and over. So when you have a goal and the reality is it's not working and the options have been extinguished, you have to come up with a better option. Now, so this is what I told him. I said, here's the two options I can see for today. One option is I fire you. Or you could quit if you'd rather do that. Or the number two option is that I'm going to demote your pay. What I'm paying you right now is I'm paying you for a guy who comes to work on time. I'm not paying you for a guy who doesn't come to work on time. So if you're not going to come to work on time, and we know that's the case because we've been through the reality check here, then you've tried the whole option about I'm going to do this, I'm going to get better, and you're not. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to demote your pay. And then in the next 30 days, if you come to work every day on time, then we'll take you back up to where you were. If you don't come to work on time, you miss it one time in the next 30 days, then we're going to go back to option number one. And I'll have to fire you. Because here's the thing. Think about all the other guys who come to work on time every day. And they're looking at this and saying, why won't Jeff do something about this? I come to work on time. My reality is good. How come he gets to keep his job and he gets to keep his pay and he doesn't do what I do? You see what happens there? So I have to have an option for this. So goal, reality, option. W stands for a bunch of different things. It depends on the circumstances. It can stand for who. Like, who are you going to talk to about this? Who's going to coach you on this? It could stand for where. Where are we going to go to get the solutions to this? Or what? What are you going to do? You're going to buy an alarm clock, or it could be, I like using how, right? But it doesn't start with a W. Hey, it's got some of these same letters. We can move it around. Like how? How are you going to do that for me? When are you going to do that for me? Why are you going to do that for me? You know, why kind of goes back to go. Help them recycle this in their brains and think about it. So here's what's great about this. If you go through this with a person you're having an issue with, and then you need to meet with them again about it, keep this, right? Save this, pull this back out and say, here's what we talked about last time. Here's what our options were. Here's where we are now. What, where, when, who. Because think about this. It's way too expensive to fire somebody and start all over. Now, there's cases where you need to fire somebody. And by gosh, I've done that. In my career, having owned a restaurant especially, right? I've probably hired and fired 500-600 people, and not all fired. Some of them went on to be doctors and lawyers and did great things in their careers, great salespeople, business owners, entrepreneurs. But you know, you get in that habit of seeing people and you learn about people and how to deal with them. It's too expensive to start all over. It's too expensive, especially for a guy like this. This guy's great, man. I mean, he's been installing Windows for over 20 years. He's really good. We just have to fix this one problem. And some people would get so frustrated by this one problem, it'd just be, forget it, I'm done, I'm out. Or they'd start yelling, or they'd start saying, you better not do that again. The goal here, right, besides getting to work on time, the goal is for me to save this guy's career at Houston Window Experts. Why? Because we need him. Why? Because he's valuable. Why? Because we've got like over a year and a half of time with him and training him and getting him to where we want him to be. So this is how I like to solve problems. Now you say, Jeff, that's terrific, but I don't have a guy who's late. Well, let me ask you this. Is there anything in your personal life that you would like to see yourself improving? So let me give you an example. You can do this with anything. You can do this with your spouse, right? The goal is to get you to stop snoring. What's the reality? I don't snore. Yes, you do. Okay, so in this case, for example, let's say we have a goal. And the goal is, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, what's the reality? Well, the reality is I like ice cream. I like beer. And I like that beer that's got a lot of oats and barley and wheat in it. That's not me, by the way. I don't like that stuff. I like ice cream. I like beer. I like pizza. So first of all, you've got to acknowledge that the reality is you're doing some of the wrong actions if you really want to drop 10 pounds, right? And I've never been through I've been part of 12-step programs, but I've never been through one myself. But isn't that kind of part of the first step in a 12-step program, is to recognize you have a problem or recognize that you've made a mistake? So if you said, I want to lose 10 pounds, and the reality is you're doing these things, then the question is, okay, so then what are my options? What are my options? So let me give you a really good example. Stop buying ice cream. Like, it's easy to eat ice cream when it's right there in the freezer. If you just don't buy it, and that's actually easier said than done too, right? If you just don't buy the ice cream, then you're probably going to lose some weight. So we can say X on the ice cream, right? What's another option? Well, another option, if you really like having a drink at night, maybe switch off a beer and you go to gin, right? You can go to gin with a splash of lime, and you could get some of that diet tonic. And that diet tonic is about 88 cents. Buy the cheap one. The cheaper it is, the better it tastes. Gin, lime, diet tonic, you can make a great big one, and it's only about 200 calories, right, compared to beer. Okay, pizza. Well, if you're not going to eat pizza, what can you eat instead of pizza? How about crackers with a little bit of hot sauce on them? You see where I'm going with this? So anyway, the goal, lose 10 pounds. Here's my problem. Here's some of my options. And then the W, right? That's the hard part. Well, I'll start that next week. When? But why? Why would you wait till next week? Or who's going to help you? I mean, like when we were talking to the guy about being late, he said, he's got a girlfriend and all this. Man, if you told your girlfriend you weren't going to be able to pay the rent on your apartment because you got fired, wouldn't she kick you out of the bed? I mean, if I was going to lose my job, my wife would be wearing soccer cleats to bed, right? She'd be kicking me with those things when the alarm went off to get me out of bed. So this is something you can do in your own personal life. This is something you can do in your children's life. Hey, what's the goal? The goal is for you to do your homework without mommy asking you, okay? What's the reality? I have to get on to you and on to you and on to you and on to you. So what are the options? Well, the options are that if you can't do your homework on your own, then we're going to not be able to let you go play on the weekends with Johnny because we know you like to do this. Or whatever the case is. And then who, what, where, when, why. And by the way, you know what else is great about this? When you finally achieve this goal, where you can repeat it, and you're doing a great job of it, a couple of things happen. One, you get to tear this up and never have to worry about that again. But also, you get to start having goals that are something that's fun to do. Like the goal is, we want to go to Disney. I want to take the family to Disney. What's the reality? It's going to cost about $8,000, right? Because it's not cheap. Okay, what are our options? And then get the kids involved with helping save money. Maybe they do some chores and money goes into this fund or whatever. These kind of things, this GROW, G-R-O-W, is not just for solving problems, not just for setting personal goals of things you want to do, but it can actually be turned into something that actually brings a great cause about in your life. And that's why people like you and me own their own businesses, right? Because we want to change the lives of the people that are around us for the good, for the better. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm making this video. I have nothing to sell. I just hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope it makes your life better. Hey, if you like this, don't forget to subscribe. There's more just like it on our web channel, YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.